Hello, everyone. It is Sarah, and today I'm going to teach you how to make these little bee keychains right here. They're super cute, and these are best sellers when I do my markets for sure. These sell out every time. So I thought that would be a nice little fun treat for us today. So let's get into it. I use a 4-ply worsted weight yarn for everything. So you are going to need, obviously, yellow, black, and a little bit of white for the wings and just a little bit of pink. This is like all I've cut off for the little cheeks right here. I just started adding those. So this is absolutely all the yarn you're going to need right here. I use a 4.75 millimeter crochet hook. You are going to need a little bit of fiber fill and a clasp of your choosing for the keychain. And I use some 10 millimeter safety eyes. And obviously you're going to need a pair of scissors. You are also going to need a darning needle to sew on the wings, and it's super simple, super easy to do, so have no worries. So starting with our yellow yarn, I'm gonna pull a length of it out. Let's get started. And I always start with a magic ring for these. So I do that by creating an X right here on the edge of my fingers. I go under and then over, and I pull that through. And then taking the skein, I move this over the string that goes to the skein right there. And then within our magic ring, you're going to chain one to get the length, and you are going to do a single crochet of 6. You're going to pull that nice and tight. And I have been doing the backward slip stitch just because I feel like it makes it look way more uniform. So you're going to turn it around and go into that first stitch right there. Grab your loop and pull that through, just like that. You're going to chain one. And then for round 2, it is an increase round. So make sure you're going into that first stitch right there. And you're going to do 2 single crochets into each stitch around. And at the end of this round, you should have 12. And I will meet you at the end of this round. And so at the end of the second round, it should look something like this. And you're going to want to pay attention and look at those first 2 stitches right here, because the top of that first one is right here. And it might look like it's on the side, but that is the first stitch. So it's right there. Get it in there. And then we're going to pull this through, chain one. There you go. And round 3 is another increase round. So we just start off with 1 single crochet and 2 into the next. And you're going to repeat this all the way around, 1 and 1 and 2 single crochets into the next, all the way around. And you should have 18 by the end of this round. And I will meet you at the end of this round. Okay, once you are at the end of this round and you have 18, you're going to once again look for that first stitch right here. And this is the top of it. So go into the back, do your backward slip stitch, chain one, and we are going to do 2 more rows, but we are only going to do, we're done increasing right now. We're going to do 2 rows of single crochet. So row 4 and 5 are just single crochets. So you're going to do 2 rows of this. And if you need to use a stitch marker, I would put it around the side loops of this first stitch right here, so you can remember what row was you were on. But when we're working in the rounds like this, it's actually not too hard. So 1, 2, 3, So anyways, go ahead and do round 4 and 5 with just single crochets all the way around, and I will meet you at the end of row 5. Okay, once you have finished with your 5 rounds, you are going to go ahead and slip stitch like normally. Just do not do your chain one yet. So go ahead and pull this yellow one through. Okay, and instead of chaining one, we're going to turn it around right here, and we're going to grab our black yarn. And we are going to pull our black yarn through this loop right here, just like that. And you can pull the yellow tight, and you might have a little difficulty, but once you do your chain one right here with the black, it makes it much easier to pull that nice and tight now. Now you're going to be holding this yellow around just for one stitch, just so that it's nice and locked in. And we are going to do 2 rows of black. So we're going to start right here into this first stitch, and I'm going to hold both of those strings behind it, right? And I'm going to do a single crochet. Now that I have that yellow one just nice and secure, I'm going to go ahead and drop it because we're going to be using that again. And we want it to stay right here where the seam is because it'll be easier and you won't have to pull it too far. Okay, so now we're just carrying the black, like I said, and we are going to do 2 rows of black and just single crochets. So go ahead and do your 2 rows of black, and whenever you feel like letting go of that is fine. And you do not have to grab the yellow yarn until we're done with our next row of black, and I will show you how to do that. So go ahead and do 2 rows of black, and I will meet you at the end of row 7. Okay, I forgot to mention this, but if you have finished your black row before you connect onto the yellow, go ahead and pull that out about halfway from that last row right there. You can see where the seam is right here, right at the bottom. We want to go directly above that. So about right here, let's see. So I would do it over, I'm going to do one more single crochet. We are going to be attaching our keychain at this second. So I really apologize for not stopping you before then, but here we go. So you see the seam, we're going to go directly above. And the reason why we're doing it right here is because our wings are going to go right where the yellow is. So we want this keychain in front of the wings, and that is done on the last row of black right here. So like I said, this is the bottom. I'm going to go directly above it, and I always attach my keychain over 2 stitches. So I'm just going to set this right here, and I'm going to pretend like this is an extension of that stitch right there. I'm just going to go through it like that, one single crochet, and then I'm going to go through it again, but make sure I'm going through the next stitch too. Okay, now we're connected. So go ahead and finish out this row, and we will move on to the yellow. So at this point, it should look something like this. I will be turning mine inside out because I am sick of dealing with some of these strings. And I'm going to be sewing this center string right here into the loops right around there. So I will show you what I mean. I'm going to take this string right here and I'm going to sew it into these loops right here to give this a nice little tightness. Make sure that that first magic ring we did is nice and tight because that is the center of our little bee's face. So go ahead and do that. And then give it a little snip. I did not get my scissors ready for this. There it is. Okay. And once you have pulled this nice and tight, like this extra string right here, you can also give that a little snip. So that is also out of your way. Okay. Now we have our black and our yellow still connected. And you have done your slip stitch right here. Pull that. But you haven't done your chain one because you were going to grab the yellow string. Let's pull this black one nice and tight right here. And now we're going to drop that. We're going to grab our yellow string and pull that through just like that. And then can pull the black nice and tight. Do your chain one. And like I said, you were going to hold the black for one of these stitches so that it's nice and locked in right there. Oof, there we go. Okay. So you've done your first single stitch. You hold that in there. Now you're going to let that go because, like I said, we want that to stay where it is in the center. And you were going to do 2 rows of single crochet for the yellow. We want this to be even. So for rows, what is it, row 8 and 9, we're going to do 2 rows of yellow, single crochet around, and doing your backward slip stitches just like normal. And I will meet you back where we changed to black. Okay, so at this point, it's just the same as before. We're going to attach our black and we are going to chain one and we're going to carry the yellow over just for that first stitch, just to make sure it's nice and secure. And then we're going to drop it. And you were going to do 2 rows. And so this is row 10 and 11. Yeah, 10 and 11. We're doing row 10 and 11 in black yarn, just one single crochet all the way around both rows. And I will meet you back at the end of the next row. Okay, once you have your last row of black done, we're going to again go with our yellow. I'm going to pull that black nice and tight, chain one with your yellow, and then we're going to do 2 more rows of single crochet in just the yellow. I got that first stitch. Yes, I do. Okay. And you were going to hold the black over for as long as you want because we are going to be snipping that off. So go ahead and carry it as long as you feel comfortable. That's probably good enough for me because I am sick of carrying this black yarn around. It's hard to work with that sometimes. I get it. Much easier than having to reattach it though. So I'm just gonna go with that. Okay. So go ahead and do your 2 rows of yellow and I will meet you back at the end. Okay, at this point, our bee is almost done and I will be putting in the eyes. So I will be putting them in between row 3 and 4. So 1, 2, 3, and here's row 4. So let's see. On the sides is where I like to put them. Let's see how this goes. How do you feel about that? I think that looks pretty good right there. So what I like to do is I take these and I push that in and flip it inside out. I'm going to grab the backs and put those on. Pain in my butt. I hate these things. There we go. And then what I like to do is I grab a lighter, being extremely careful. And I'm going to melt this just a little bit. Not too soon, but not too late. You want to flatten that just like that. And then it is totally secure. I've never had these eyes come out. So do that really carefully. And once those are not hot anymore, you can flip it back over. And at this point, I will be stuffing some of my bee, most of it. Nice. Need more stuffing. You don't want to overstuff it so where it pulls out the stitches and stuff, but I do want it nice and plump. Nice. Okay, so for this next round, it is a closing round. So you're just going to chain one, and we are going to single crochet one into the first one, and then do a decrease. And I do decreases like this, going through the front loop only. Go through one, go through two, pull your string through, get another loop and pull it through those. So single crochet one and then do another decrease, just like this. And go ahead and repeat that all the way around, and I will meet you at the end of this row. Okay, and once you have finished with that and you do your backwards slip stitch, now is the time to stuff it. If you need to do that anymore, now is the time. So get it nice and plump, however you want it, because let's see, the last row, we are going to be closing it all the way, and we are going to be doing a decrease in every stitch around. So go ahead and do that. You're going to be going through the front loop only and doing your decreases. And you're going to do this in every stitch around. So go ahead and do that, and I will meet you at the end of this row. Okay, and once you do your last backward slip stitch, you're going to go ahead and chain one, pull it out, and leave it a nice little tail for sewing. Cut that and pull it through. Let's see. Now, where's my darning needle? There it is. I'm going to sew in the butt. So I'm going to go through, if you can, it's almost even tough to see. but I'm going to go through the top of each of these stitches right here, going first down and then up and then down. So that's what I do basically, going up and down through each stitch around until I can pull it nice and tight, just like that. Pull it, and then you're going to tie a little knot right here in the end, just like this. Hold on. And then I tie a little knot right just like this. There we go. And then I'm just going to poke this through all the way to the other side of my bee. Pull it nice and through, see? And then give that a little snip. There we go. Now it's time to work on the wings. How cute. Okay, so grabbing your white yarn, you're going to do a magic ring. Oops. Oh my goodness, come on. Under, over, there we go. And you are going to be doing six single crochet into the magic ring right here. Okay, and pull that nice and tight. And same like always, we're going to be doing a backwards slip stitch. You know, I don't know if this is what it's called, but that's what I call it. So, because it is backwards to me. Okay, then you're going to go ahead and chain one. And you are going to be doing an increase. So in each stitch around, do 2 single crochets. And once you were done with that, I will meet you at the end and show you what to do. Okay, so once you're done with your second row, you're going to do your backward slip stitch like normal. You're going to chain one, give that a nice pull, and then you're going to leave a nice little tail for sewing. Okay, so go ahead and pull that all the way through. And then you were going to sew in the middle loop right here into the center to pull this nice and tight like I showed you. And you're going to make 2 of these. So go ahead and make 2 of these, and then I will show you what to do. Okay, so once your wings are done, I'm going to go, we only need 1 string on these wings to sew it in. So I go ahead and sew in the excess string of this one right here. I'm going to make a little knot. Oh my goodness gracious. There we go. And then I'm going to just stitch this into the back of these stitches right here, just so that it's hidden. There we go. Give that a nice little snip, nice and close. Okay, now I'm going to thread my other needle, or my other string, whatever. Now, both of these wings are going to be facing up onto the bee, so make sure you have your right sides facing up. And you were going to see the stitch right here, the first stitch of the round right there. And we're going to line it up with the first stitch of this round so that they're about the same. Now, holding these, I am going to go, the string is on this side. I'm just going to go through this stitch right here. It's gonna be hard to see right there. Go through the back, come through this one when they're lined up. See? Just like that. And I'm going to then go back over and go through. And now I'm on this side. I'm going to come up back through this one and then go back down right here. So I basically sew it in across 3 stitches right there. It's nice and attached. You can go back around if you want, just to make sure that it's nice and good attached. And this is basically how I sew my wings together side by side. See? I'm in the bottom one, so I'm going to go up this stitch right here. Nope, too high. Right there. I basically stitch it 3 stitches across. Okay, and now that I have my wings, I'm going to grab my bee right here. And we're going to do it into this yellow stitch that's right behind our keychain. So find the center of your bee. We might not have put the keychain on directly center, that's okay, but our wings should be centered. So I'm going to say that this stitch right here is the center of my bee. So I'm going to grab my wings, stick it right there. And this is actually a good time to use the amigurumi sticks. If you have not seen these, I have an entire video on my YouTube. I will put it in the description if you guys want to know where to buy these, because I do have the Etsy shop where I have it linked. You can just go like this, stick it right through there, right through my bee. There we go. Boom. Those wings are not going anywhere now. Now I don't have to hold them. And that is an option. Like I said, I like using these amigurumi sticks. They have saved my butt so many times, and it is keeping it lined up for me. I absolutely love them. It is on Etsy, and it is all over Etsy. So go ahead and put it. I stuck my needle right here at the edge of that black row, right there, right through that stitch. And then I'm going to come all the way through to this front one right here, just like that. Okay, now since we're in the front, I'm going to go up through my wings right here. This stitch right, almost like right where my amigurumi stick is. No, right next to it. There we go. There we go. Go back down through the wings. And now it should be a good time. I should be able to take this out now. I'm going to come back up through this stitch right here. There we go. I'm going to go back through. Actually, I'm going to come back up through the wings. There we go. Go back down. Come out that front stitch. And I basically just go back and forth and just sew it on nice and tight. See? See? Looking pretty good. Go back and forth. You can go onto the side right here. Come back up on to the top of the wing if you want. Basically, we're just sewing it all over the middle right here. However you want. I'm going to go like that, and I'm going to come back up the front. Make sure I'm coming out the right spot. Oops. These feel pretty dang secure. And I'm going to just go back through right here. And underneath my wings, I'm just going to tie this into a little knot right here onto my wing. Oops, don't want to pull the wrong string too far. There we go. Nice. And I can go through a stitch if I want. You can go through a couple stitches, maybe on the wing, and then cut off your string. That might be a good solution right here. So I've gone through a few different stitches, trying to keep this in view of the camera. I apologize. Let's see. There we go. There we go. It's a nice tight stitch right there. Okay. Now that I'm done with that, I'm going to give it a little snip, and we're done. Boom. Oh, wait, we're not done. Psych, let's do the cheeks. Okay. So grabbing your pink, I almost forgot about the cheekies. I just started doing this, and I think this is the only thing I've done it on besides my chill pills. But I have threaded my pink string, and I'm going to go up through the bottom of my bee because I want this to be hidden. And I'm going to go one stitch below my eyeball right there. I'm going to pull it through. And I'm going to go back wherever you want. So I don't like going too far. Maybe right there. Does that look good? Maybe right there is good. Okay. And then you can come out of the same stitch and do this twice if you want. If you just want one, that's fine. Actually, I think one's probably good. So I'm going to go back into the same stitch because I decided I just want one. So I'm going to hide that. Come back over here underneath the eyeball. See? And then I'm going to go right there and I'm going to push it out to the same stitch as that pink one right there. There we go. And now our little bee has cheeks. How cute is that? Now I'm just going to give this pink string a tie. Nice and tight down here. I'm going to do 2 knots. And then when I sew this in, I like to make sure they're the same length. Makes it easy. Okay. And this is how I get rid of the pink string. Oops. Rid of that. There we go. Going into the same stitch that it's coming out of, poke it through, and just poke it anywhere in the butt. There you go. It's nice and pulled. Give that a little snippy snip. Hide that in his little butt, and there you go. We have the cutest little bee ever. Look at that. Hopefully you put on your keychain more centered than I did, but either way, it is absolutely adorable. These are some of the biggest sellers at my markets. Everybody loves them. And like I said, I have definitely had to restock because I have a market coming up in a few weeks. So I have been restocking and I sell these for $5 each. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and thank you for bearing with me through it. And I will see you guys next time.